Hi guys, welcome back to Yoga for Writers. Today we have a fun practice that is all about structuring your novel, and in order to do that we're going to structure our practice by going from the ground to mid-level to standing, because that's how a story goes as well. So when you're ready, I'll meet you down on the mat. So when you're ready, we'll take a nice easy seat in Sukhasana. Joey, over there. And we're just going to situate ourselves for a moment. Take some deep intentional breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. You can roll the neck, the head, gently, one way and then the other. And while you're doing that, I want you to think about where your character is at the beginning of their story. So we call this the equilibrium. This is where the character begins. This is where they have their sense of norm, where nothing is wrong yet, like nothing has happened to them yet. So it might be that they're in a situation that's really awful, but that's just their norm still. Even if they live in poverty, even if they live in war, even if they're alone and abandoned and grieving or anything like that, that is still their norm. So that is still their equilibrium where you begin the story. So think about that for your character, your main character or multiple main characters, while we roll the shoulders, get the body a bit more loose, get ready to move. Joey, baby, you gotta go away. Nah, sit. Sit. Okay. I don't think Joey's leaving us today, so. And then I want you to plant the right hand to the right side, and then inhale, lift the left arm up and over to the side on the right. So you can bend any amount that feels comfortable for you. You can place the elbow on the floor or keep it upright, it's up to you. You can bend into the side a bit more, open out a bit more. I like to do both. And then we're just going to cartwheel over to the left side, so plant the left hand and bring the right arm up and overhead and bend into the side. Keep your right side planted. We don't want the knees and the buttocks to lift up. And release. Bring both hands down. And we're just going to open out the legs. So you can come into a full straddle, or you can do one at a time and come into a half straddle. It's again up to you. Anything that we do is optional. Anything that we do is for your comfort level, and if you need to make modifications, please do. I don't want you to hurt yourself or force yourself or be uncomfortable during this process. I want you to enjoy it, so take whatever feels good for you. So you can have the right leg out and the left leg in with the heel towards the pelvis, or you can have both legs out. So I'm feeling a bit tight today, so I think I'm going to go with the first option. And then we're going to lean the right hand on the inside of the right leg as we bring up the left arm again and we fold over. So this time you should feel it a bit more in the hip on the right side. And then we're going to turn our torso towards the right foot and fold over. So you can go all the way, head to toe, head to shin, head to thigh, whatever makes you feel comfortable, or you can stay upright. Remember, you can start further away and then bend into it. Just go with the flow, go with what feels good. Maybe point and flex the toes, all the while thinking about the equilibrium, the beginning point of your character and your novel. And then we'll switch to the other side. So if you're like me and you did it half and half, you'll bring the right leg in this time, left leg out, and then left arm on the inside of the left leg and right arm reaches up and overhead. If you can reach, you can grab your toes, look under the window. And then we're going to twist and fold over the leg. Again, you can grab the foot, head to knee, head to toe, whatever feels comfortable for you. And then grow and release. So we're going to come to all fours now. Legs hip width apart, hands planted, firm. We're going to twist so that the inside of our elbows are facing forwards. This helps us to have the correct alignment, to feel like we're not dumping all of our weight into our wrists. So at this point now, we're building our story. So we're now at the second stage where the inciting incident happens. So the inciting incident is when something happens to your character to cause them to go on an adventure, you know, if it's a classic hero's journey, or something that's just a call to action that upsets their equilibrium, changes things for them. A decision needs to be made. They need to abandon their home. They don't get what they wanted or what they thought they wanted, and they're off on a path that they didn't expect, something like that. So while you think about what your inciting incident could be, let's do some cat and cow. So we're going to inhale and drop the belly and open the chest. Push into the shoulders, push into the hands, really curl the tailbone up, get that nice arch in the back. A few breaths here. And then exhale, and we will curl and lift into our cat. And then you can do some on your own whilst you're thinking about what could come along and scare your character, force them to make a decision, force them away from their home, make things difficult for them, take away their sense of calm and their sense of norm. From here, we're then going to go into downward facing dog. So you can curl your toes under, and then we'll press up and back into our down dog. So at this point, we're now growing from the ground. Our character is on their quest. They're maybe away from their norm, away from their home. Everything that they thought was normal and fine has now been disrupted. So we're now at the next point in our structure where we start to consider some action points. So what is going to happen to your character that creates the story? I used to worry about plot a lot because I used to think I had to jam in a load of action-packed things and make it as exciting as possible. You don't need to do that. You just need to know your character so well that everything that happens to them makes sense, that they're growing along their journey because they're doing things that make sense for them. So think about that for a moment. What choices are they going to make because of the inciting incident? Who are they going to meet? What new setting could they be embarking on? What do they begin to learn about the reality of the world they live in? What beliefs do they start to question about themselves? and how they viewed the world. Ooh, this is perhaps not the best top to be wearing. Tuck myself in, sorry guys. And then we're going to roll forward into plank. And we're not going to go down because we've already done the beginning of the story. So we're meant to be rising up, okay? So in order to rise up, we're going to flip first. So from the plank, I want you to lift the right leg and then twist over to the left so that your right leg can plant on the floor. You're twisting your left leg out, and then we're pressing up with our hips into wild thing. Your right arm should be up and overhead. Your legs should be strong. And then release. Come back into your plank. And then we'll do wild thing on the other side. I need to move over a little bit. So we're going to lift the left leg, twist onto the right, plant the left leg, on the floor, and then lift up with our hips to bend into an arch. We're leaning on our right arm and both legs. And then release. Come back into your plank. And we're going to go back into downward dog just for a transition. Catch your breath. And then I want you to walk your feet and your hands into the middle of the mat. So you can enjoy this forward fold for a moment. Then we're going to halfway lift, so you can keep your fingertips on the mat, on the shins or on the thighs for this figure 7 shape. And then we go, so from your forward fold, we're going to just take the legs out wide. You can use your hands to help you. And we can just rest here and think about the midpoint of your story. So there's a lot of different narrative structures out there. A lot of people follow the 3-act 8 sequence structure. A lot of people follow just the beginning, middle and end, the hero's journey, all these different ones. But I just want you to think about your structure as simply as possible, because when I did that, it helped me a lot. So when I say midpoint, I don't mean midpoint in terms of the 3-act 8 sequence structure. Instead, I mean the middle of your story. So what is this building up to? What's the middle thing that happens? The big, not necessarily the big climax just yet, but the thing that leads to the thing that's going to be the big climax, right? So again, it could be a choice that the character has to make, a person that they've met, or they've done a certain thing now in the other plot points before that's ruined things for them or ruined things for other people, and they have to now make another choice or take another action, perhaps an action that they didn't want to take, one that they knew they had to, but their hands have been forced, right? So as you're thinking about that, we're going to rest in this wide-legged forward fold. You can bring elbows down to the mat. Engage the legs and the core. Then inhale, come back up onto the hands. And exhale, we will stand. So now we're in this wide-legged standing pose. So we're going to turn the toes out instead so that we can come into goddess. Bend down into a squat. Engage the pelvis up, tilt it up, engage the core, engage the thighs, the quads, the legs, everything is working. And then we're going to bring our hands out in offering, receiving, so we can get all the good ideas as we think about the climax of the story. So as we're here and we're burning, our legs are burning, we're getting tired, I want you to think about your character's low point, the awful thing that's happened to them, something disastrous has happened, or they're in a battle, or they've found something that completely shatters their worldview. Maybe if it's a romance, then you know they're breaking up at this point. If it's a thriller, then maybe we've met who we think the bad guy is, who we think the murderer is, and we're actually going to find out that somebody else is the murderer later. Think about all those different things that could be the highest point of tension, the highest point of struggle for the story and the character. Two more breaths. I know it burns. And then you can release. You can just straighten out the legs, zip them together, boom, and come to stand. So we're in Tadasana now, and we're going to do our final pose to think about the ending of our story. So after the climax, it's usually the descending action, I think they call it, or fallen action, where a certain set of things happen towards the end of the story, towards the conclusion. What are the consequences of everything that has happened before? So while we do that, we're going to come into Vrikshasana, which is our tree pose. You can keep the right foot against the ankle and the shin, or you can bring it to the thigh. Oh, losing my balance. Bring it to the thigh. You want to engage and push the foot and the thigh into each other in order to balance. Then you can bring hands to prayer, keep them at the waist, bring them up into the sky, whatever feels best for you. So think about what is the aftermath of the climax. What have they learned? What have they learned about themselves? What do they know that they need to do in order to get the conclusion that they've been looking for? How can they now get their ending, basically? So, if you fall, that's okay. The ending should leave your characters changed. They should have grown as a person. They have either physically grown or mentally grown or emotionally grown, ideally all three, and they've learned something about themselves that then changes how they view the world. Their psychological transformation is what's most interesting and most important for the reader. I can't talk and do Vrikshasana apparently. So think about that as you are thinking about the last things that they need to do in order to reach their transformation at the end. And we will release and come on to the other side. So the left foot is against the ankle, the shin, or the thigh with help from your hand. You again engage both the foot and the thigh in towards one another. Hands at prayer. Thinking about your character. How does their story end? What do they need? What's the last tools that they need to complete their arc? And release. So that was the end of our class today. And whilst we stand in Tadasana, our mounting pose, I want you to just think about the ending of your story. Where has it all led to? What was the point? What have the readers and the characters learned along the journey? So a good story structure is simply a beginning down here, rise in action to a climax or a midpoint, whatever you want to call it. The lowest point for the character, something awful has happened, or something transformative has happened, and the falling action towards their end.
So their end shouldn't look exactly the same as their beginning. Otherwise, they haven't learned anything, they haven't changed, their environment hasn't changed, nothing has changed, and that's boring, isn't it? So nothing grand has to happen, nothing crazy has to happen, but we have to be able to see a clear difference between where they began, what they went through, how awful it was, or how life-changing and pivotal it was, and then how it shaped their new ending and who they become now, their new equilibrium, right? Even if you're writing a series, there should still be a clear arc, and then obviously that character will transform again in the next story. So think about how your character is transforming, how they are growing, how they have changed, what they have learned throughout the narrative. So thank you for stretching with me and building your structure from the ground up with our Root to Rise class, and I'll speak to you again soon. Happy writing. If you're doing this during Novel November, you're doing great. Just keep writing, keep taking your time, work on your structure, and think about the character first, always. Take care, guys, and namaste.